Okay, just 1 minute to go. So nice to see you all online. Rahul, could you please? Okay, this is a recording is available. Great. So it's 7 o'clock sharp, and we welcome you to the one more session on perspective with ProTouch. Now, first of all, I welcome all the new joinees. Gauri, can we have your video on, please? So ProTouch is into corporate training solutions. ProTouch is also into upskilling courses like HR generalist, HR analysis. It is based out of Gurgaon, though, but we serve to the entire country. We at ProTouch believes in impacting lives. I personally do a lot of career coaching, help youngsters, especially youngsters, to take their career ahead. So that is what we believe in. My name is Dr. Parna Sethi. I come with 20 years of experience. But this program is not about me and about ProTouch, but it's about knowledge sharing. So during this lockdown time, we came up and started this series that is called Perspective is ProTouch. And we invite very senior level professionals from industry and who can share their knowledge on what is happening in the industry. Today, we have Gauri with us, and it's my honor and privilege to welcome Gauri to another session of Perspective with ProTouch. Gauri is a senior HR leader who is passionate about talent management and development. She possesses more than 14 years of experience in entire gamut of HR and has been part of diverse industries like NBFC, financial services, FMCG, and education. Her strengths include strategic HR, building up the right culture, developing high performance teams, supporting and empowering leaders to drive performance, improve employee engagement and experience. She holds double masters in HR management and psychology and a bachelor's in computer engineering. She is certified rewards and NLP professional and also holds OD certification from TIS. She has been recognized as HR 100 under 40 and top HR mind India and WICA growth. She is passionate about women empowerment and leading a lean-in circle called Leaders Lifting Leaders. Besides that, she is also core committee member of LinkedIn Local Navi Mumbai. I welcome you, Gauri. Thank you so much for taking out time for today's session.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Dr. Aparna. It's a privilege to be here and interact with professionals. And I'm seeing Ravindra ji is here. So it's
Yes.
my honor to interact with you, sir.
Even I was very surprised, Ravindraji, when I saw your message, and I told my team that today we are going to have Ravindraji, he's a senior professional, and thank you so much. And that shows that no matter how many years of experience you have, but learning never stops, right? Thank you so much, Ravindraji.
Absolutely,
And
that is what my tagline says. I'm a constant learner since 1956.
certainly, and I'm looking forward for a special session from you as well in future, right? So I'm taking that commitment from you right now.
Sure.
Right. I have seen a lot of your LinkedIn posts. I've seen Gauri's lot of LinkedIn posts. So we are all LinkedIn mates and we are meeting live, I think, today for the first time. So that's a nice thing to happen.
Yeah.
For
E-meeting
the
everyone. Yeah.
yes. For the participants, I just would like to tell you that, it is going to be extremely interactive session. I'm going to ask Gauri a couple of questions and followed by your questions. So keep your questions ready. There are many young HR professionals have joined to know more about our certification program. So after this session gets over at 8 o'clock, we will spend time with you. We also have Director Protech, Rahul Sethi with us, and both of us will address your queries after the session. So without wasting time, let's start. Yes? Thank you so much, Gauri, once again. I would like to know the first question. There are many questions. Participants have already sent it to me on WhatsApp because we have a separate WhatsApp group for webinars. Uh, and first question comes to our mind is that how in today's scenario, HR is helping business leaders to maintain the business continuity.
That's a pertinent question.
Yes,
I guess
Gauri?
someone is not on mute. I can hear some noise. Okay.
Okay, please keep your participants. I request everyone to keep yourself on mute mode.
So this was HR had already started being on that table, but COVID told the world the real value that it comes from HR. So right from helping people settle down to taking care of their mental well-being, taking care of how they are feeling in those moments, taking care of any tough decisions and the skills that would be required in future. All that COVID taught that it is HR who is going to lead the way now. So right when we started in 1956, right, Ravinji, when there was a personnel management, and from there we are now on modern management, modern HR, and from there on it's going to only increase because now the top priority would be skilling, change management.
Gauri, 1956, it was Labor Department.
Labor department, yeah.
Yes.
And the progression thereon. So change management is most critical aspect today. We are now working from home. So now what I'm seeing today is people are reluctant coming back, and businesses, some of them, they want them to be back, and some of them want them to continue operating from home. So how do you bring in the balance? There are challenges at home. Somebody's taking care of our sick relative. There are kids at home. So how are you bringing that balance? I am already seeing this in my current setup, that some people really want everyone to be in office, and another there are a set of people who really don't want to turn up. So that is one thing, that balance we have to bring in. And then digitization is something which really is accelerated by COVID. So how are you going to get that upskilling, reskilling, whatever is required? And employee experience. How did you behave during COVID? How are you behaving moving forward is creating your net employer score. And that is how HR is supporting businesses in continuity.
So, Gauri, if may I ask you, like, what are the interventions you are making, especially in the area of upskilling employees?
Upskilling, there are a lot of, so first we have to identify for each organization, it would be different. Currently, I am in an NBFC, and it is going to become a fintech soon. That's the next path for us. So for us, it's all about that digitization, learning those things which would be required when we move from this NBFC to fintech. That is on technical side. So whatever is required in factoring, we do factoring. There are certifications. So certification play an important role when it comes to upskilling, reskilling people. And second, in terms of soft skill or leadership skill, resilience, that turned out to be a mantra for COVID. There were people who were hiding in shell because they were not able to come out and take this, whatever changes were happening. And there were some who were not only motivated, but they were motivating others also. So in terms of resilience, leadership skills, coaching is what we are focusing on heavily, because training is about learning a particular skill and the impact would not be everlasting. But when it comes to working on someone as a coach, working with someone as a coach, that goes for a very long time and you really come out as a more effective person. So these are the things that we are looking at on softer skill side and also on the technical sides.
Absolutely. I mean, we recently conducted the survey and we got to know, close to 78% of the people have invested in upskilling themselves and getting ready for post-COVID area. So we
Yeah.
really don't know we are going to have post-COVID or not very soon. But I think in a true way, now this is going to be the normal way of working. Few companies have taken up the call that, they will continue with work from home because their real estate cost and all, everything is coming down, traveling cost is coming down. But few companies need their employees back.
Yes.
So what is the scenario in your company? Do you want your employees to come back, or what is the call you have taken?
For us, it's at will. You have to perform from anywhere. We have no issues. So for
Mhm.
us, there is no restriction that you have to come to office and work from there. You can operate from anywhere, be whatever it is. But you, come up to that productivity level that is required from you.
Mhm.
However, with this mindset, we are definitely having some challenge in terms of that social capital. So when it comes to those water cooler discussions, which really refresh people, no
Yes.
matter what we say, we call it gossip or whatever, but it's actually refreshing for many people. They come out better from those discussions,
Uh-huh.
having lunch together, having tea together. So that is really, troubling many people, and they are saying that we want to be back. But even if we are back, if not everybody is in office, then this is not going to be covered. So we are telling people, if you want to come together, the whole team, one day you come, one day some other. So kind of roster and kind of some arrangement that we are helping people with. But there's no restriction that you have to come to office and work.
Especially in India, instead of water cooler talks, I think we have chai adda.
Chai adda,
Chai adda, and people are
Kitli.
missing chai adda, right? Okay, that's so nice to know, Gauri, from you. Another thing we would like to know, like, have you made any policy-related changes which will have a direct impact on business? Any HR-related policy changes you have made recently?
Yeah, so I would not be able to comment what exactly my company is doing because I'm not
Uh-huh.
authorized to talk in open.
Okay,
However, the current trend I can talk, and it would be quite
sure,
similar everywhere. So, in
sure.
terms of policy changes, I saw two set of organization. One who were already having work from home. Hardly there was any organization who was allowing everybody to operate from home. वो
Mm-hmm.
कहीं भी नहीं था.
Mm-hmm.
And there were other set of companies who never thought of working from home. So I'm meeting a lot of managers who now say that it is possible to operate from home, and why didn't we do it earlier? So
Mm-hmm.
policy changes, yes, companies are coming up with it. It is not only in terms of working from home or having that roster, but also in terms of safety. So what I feel at this point of time, people are thinking of 3S. One is safety. So are they really safe when if they are going to office?
Mm-hmm.
Um, how is it working out? Sorry. Sorry. So I was talking about 3S. One is safety. So when you are in office, how is it working out for you? Second is security. So job security is something which is on people's mind all the time. How is it going to happen? Because there are three phases that we saw when it came to COVID. First one was to respond. Immediately we did it for 6 months. Every organization, it would be different. Second is
True.
to recover from there. How are you going to get back the market share, the clients that you were working with? Many a times it would not be possible. And third would be renew, which would be a later phase, or maybe some organization who were already there, say healthcare or something, or e-commerce, they are already in the renew phase as well. So
True.
during these phases, currently it's between respond and recover for most of
Mm.
the organizations. So they are thinking, how do we give employees safety? How do we go for security, job security? And that's where your question, Dr. Aparna, is very relevant, that reskilling or upskilling has become a key, because you don't want to ask people to go.
Mm-hmm.
You have to actually upgrade them, upskill them, so that you can have them moving forward. And
True.
third is security, safety, and in terms of skilling what is happening. So these are 3S that employees are talking about, and employers are thinking, where is the cost reduction? How am I going to have that balance? How things are going to go forward? Whether it's going to be a hybrid model, we have to come back, because it's not yet tested. whether working from home is actually bringing in productivity for everyone. There are certain organizations who have declared that working from home is now depleting their productivity. So in
True.
such cases, definitely people would want to come back. So
Mhm.
these are the things that are currently going on in most of the organization, is what my understanding is from the market.
Amazing. That is so nice to know. And my takeaway from just now the session, that is 3S, and as well as 3 Rs. That's a beautiful way of putting the thoughts together. So I would like to know, like from the industry, yes, you are in industry and interacting with so many senior level HR professionals. What are the top 3 priorities now people are having when it comes to HR and business strategy alignment?
I think the alignment really needs people 100% with them. So first thing for me would be employee satisfaction, or rather employee experience. How
Okay.
are people treating us as an employer? How do they see us? Whether we supported them at that time, or we say, for example, yesterday was a ban called in Mumbai. So do you
Yes.
really push people to go, or you allow them to work from home? That's a kind of experience. Like you
Hmm.
and I, when we enter a store or a restaurant, we think that from the smile on face of the support staff there, you try to assess everybody. Okay, how are you feeling here? So likewise, employees are also judging us. They are trying to understand what kind of experience they are getting. So employee experience is also involving health and safety measures. How much are you, because it's a cost, and right now
True.
businesses are in cost saving mode, but still, how are you supporting them? How are you supporting in terms of infrastructure? Even if governments have allowed you to operate from office, are you still allowing them to operate from their hometown, so they are saving money in terms of rent, or you are pushing them to be there? So employee experience is one thing which is on top agenda currently. Second is
Mhm.
change management. So how things are changing currently, we have to really upgrade ourselves, we have to really work on ourselves as a leader, as a manager, as a employee also. So that is another thing which is and it relates with what Gartner says. According to them as well, the top 5 would include this change management. Are you going for restructuring, because now there can be gig jobs, there can be positions which will not be required? So how would you adjust all those? Change management is another thing which would be really important, and that's where the organization development piece would come into. And finally, skills, because strategic HR is all about looking forward. So if you
Mhm.
know you are entering into a new era, are you keeping your people ready about it? Are you having those processes which would be required in future, or you are just thinking that okay, whenever it comes we will get talent from market? So skilling
True.
in terms of existing people, skilling in terms of what kind of hiring are you doing moving forward, and how are you helping people both in terms of soft skills and technical skills. So these are 3 things which is on my agenda currently.
That's so nice to know. So employee experience, change management, and skill. So if we look at it, certainly all the participants would love to know, because then there is a gig work is coming into the picture. It is going to have a high impact on the jobs. So as far as HR is concerned, what are the role changes you can see happening in near future? How it will impact the way HR is working?
I see a whole 360-degree change for HR, because
Mm-hmm.
whatever we think now in terms of recruitment, payroll, and doing that admin work would be out. So for me, it's about would you be really supporting machines removing biases? Because we are the ones who gave them biases. So according to me, there will be one role who will be training machines in artificial intelligence, machine
Okay.
learning, and they will be supporting accordingly. Well-being would be another role, because well-being is on everybody's agenda. That if employees are happy, then only they would be productive. And definitely, there is a competition. There are some skills for which even during COVID period, there were 4 offers for people up to 180% hike. Whereas so many
Right.
people, 12 crore people lost their jobs, but there were people who were getting 180% hike, and that too with 4 offers. So in such a scenario, if talent is in short supply, the one that you are looking at, How would
Mhm.
you do this? So that would be another thing. Well-being is an important aspect. It includes mental, physical, community well-being also, which is need of the hour today, because we are not having that social circle with us. And moving forward,
Mhm.
like you rightly pointed, things are going to change. It is going to become a gig. How would you evaluate their performance? Would there really be some metrics which will tell you whether the gig worker has really worked or not? So that would be another thing. HR analytics and deriving data from there, and identifying or predicting business behavior would be another thing which HR would be spending time on. Teaming with the
Mhm.
machine, we already discussed. Work from home facilitator. So there will be somebody who will take you to that virtual reality environment and tell you who we are and what we do and how we do. So I think these are the roles that HR would be focusing moving forward. But yes, for sure, the administrative jobs would be out.
Absolutely. I think the repetitive jobs, administrative jobs, we can see that going out, and more business partnering role
Yeah.
will take it up, right? And that is where you will need a lot of analytical skills. Technology will take over a lot of repetitive jobs from recruitment, and very important, removing biases. That is one of my favorite topics. So machines will bring, lot of equality, I
Yeah.
suppose, right? That is what we are expecting. We have wonderful questions in the chat box. So I would like to take first question that, even though HR is working on employee experience, employee delight, everything is fine. At the end of the day, what matters is employees' productivity, right? Uh, so how can you ensure the 100% productivity when people are working from home? Because still in India, this is a new concept. We are not used to it. Houses, if you look at it, we still have a joint family system. We have small houses. People do not have, dedicated desks to work. Uh, People are not investing much in having a good internet facilities, right? So how do you make sure that the productivity will be high?
I think it's in interest of organization that they really support people so that they come up with higher productivity. Because if people are operating from home, they're actually supporting organization in cost cutting. A lot of organization have already announced that they will be stopping that lease or cutting down on office space. So actually, they are supporting. And in terms of giving that flexibility to people so that they can operate, say for example someone has young kids at home and
Ah,
they would be awake during the day, can you allow them to operate from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. in the morning when their kids are sleeping? That is one way to support people so that productivity is higher. Now at the same time, if you push them that
hmm.
you have to work in the defined hours, they may not be able to, their productivity would be low. But if you allow them to do this, it is possible. Are you really pushing them, checking, having all the software available on the earth and checking that they are logging in for that much time or not? Because the presumption or the general assumption for me is that everybody is here to give 100%. And if
Yeah.
you think there is some flaw there, then maybe the recruitment policy needs to be strengthened. And once you hire, definitely you have to support people to do it. So that's another thing. And you really brought out an excellent point, and which a lot of companies did and still doing, is
Hmm.
supporting them with people with infrastructure, helping
Mhm.
them with even those office chairs. We saw a lot of pictures on LinkedIn
Yes,
during COVID
absolutely.
times that my company has sent this chair,
Huh, huh.
supporting them with internet. To certain extent, I will just count one practice from my company. So when we really wanted somebody in office because of some paperwork, we used to send car to that person's house, so that car he can travel by or she can travel by car, finish work and go home again by company car. So the risk of infection is very less and the person feels safe. So that is
Mhm.
another thing which you are. And now this balance which I have been talking about since long time, because it's 8 months now, I may be very happy doing few more things rather
Hmm.
than spending my time on road. So that is another thing which will definitely help people in productivity. So if you are helping them with these simple things, and another thing is how are you evaluating productivity? Do you really have something which says that, okay, I did this much? Or you just say that you were sitting, you were logged in for these many hours, so you are productive. And I'm sure, Dr. Aparna, you will agree that a lot of processes are there, a lot of departments are there, roles where you can't define everything in terms of numbers. It's impossible. And HR definitely falls to a certain extent there.
Yes, that's the biggest
Yeah.
challenge of HR. Measuring the
So,
work and
measuring the work. Yeah. How do you measure it? So a lot of things you can measure now. There, advanced analytics available, but
Hmm.
still there are few things. And how would you do? Again, I'll go to analytics. So if you are using those employee engagement tools and you are taking care of that data, so it's all about learning from data, taking that productive actions, reflecting, and then supporting people. So these are the things, and data would definitely play an important role when it comes to supporting people in engagement and improving productivity.
Yes.
Ravindra ji, would you like to add something?
Yes.
Gauri, I think I'll add a couple of points towards the end because I'm
Okay.
trying to be a good listener right now.
Sure.
Great. So, do you see any performance metrics getting changed due to work from home?
Yes. So a lot of things we will have to bring into picture which we were not measuring so far. But still there are limitations, and I would say it is work in progress. We have not arrived yet because like we know there are challenges in terms of, say for example, a compliance guy or somebody who is into underwriting. For them, the number of cases are not going to change. So that measurement is not going to change. But you can measure few other things. Say for example, for business, if it was 10 calls per week, now they are going ahead and having 200 calls per week because these are Zoom calls. They are saving time. And so certain places, yes, some metrics have changed, but it is a work in progress as yet.
Okay, that's nice. We would like to take a lot of questions from the audience. Okay, so as we discussed that we want to make it very interactive, as well as we are here for you. So if you have any questions, please put it in the chat box, or you can feel yourself, feel comfortable to unmute yourself and let us know your question. There is one question asked by Karan that, how do you see statistical modeling helping HR professionals?
Yeah, so when you have a lot of data and you can rely on the past data, you create some models for yourself. For example, be it in terms of recruitment. I'm not talking bookish how modeling and all that, I'm sure you would know, but I'm saying in terms of how we are utilizing it when it comes to corporates. So when you have that, you create a particular model that, okay, this is how the recruitment went well, or this is the manager with whom the productivity is going high, some modeling. And then accordingly, when you are bringing in new people, you are really relying on that data, and you are evaluating those things against that data, against that model. And finally you have some success. You keep on evaluating, you keep on changing. So yes, a lot of data and modeling is helping HR really.
Okay, that's wonderful that now we are getting into statistical numbering. And very long back, one of my article got published in one of the business magazines, and which I said, why people go for HR most of the time, it starts from the business schools, and they feel we are challenged with numbers. That's why we are not going in finance, and we don't want to do traveling, and we are not good at sales. That's why we are coming to HR. So that is what is the campus talk. So I think this is very important for all the HR professionals to develop that analytical quotient, and that's very important for all of us.
Yeah, and comes easy for me because I'm an engineer. So
You
that
come
helps.
with a technical background. That is
Yeah.
what, when I was reading your, profile, that is the time I realized that you have wonderful combination of HR, psychology, OD, and technology. I think what else one can expect,
It's
right?
really helping. I mean, each and every step when you learn, you really contribute towards that strategic goal of the organization. Otherwise, you just wait. If somebody is telling you recruit, you recruit.
That's right. Abhijit is asking one question. I think he's talking more about the potential. So how do you figure out and measure the, performances we can measure because it is
Yes.
black and white. But how do you measure the potential? I think that is what 9 box model also talks about.
Yes.
Yeah. So how do you measure the potential of the person?
Yeah, so what I have been doing is there are certain tests available for potential. Psychometric, there are certain psychological tests which tell you about the potential, about the aptitude. I do use them, and definitely the 9 box model is something which we really use. Learning agility is one thing which I have been seeing so far when it comes to potential. So,
Mhm.
are you having alignment with top three values? And if you are having that learning agility, now resilience would be added in this potential thing, because every day there will be disruption. So for me, the parameter would be, besides that test, which really tells you in terms of scientific terms, there are tests available. Right now, it's about that values, the top three values, because it's not only as an individual who is having those technical skills. It is about an individual as a whole. We saw what happened with the Uber. The company was doing so well, but the culture was a problem there. Plus, lot many IBM in early days faced similar situations. So if you don't take care of, even Lehman Brothers, so if you
Mhm.
don't take care of your values, the overall potential for business is not high. So that is
True.
one thing which we are looking at. Learning agility for sure is critical, and now adaptability and resilience also would be featuring there, because if you want to quickly change yourself, do you have that capability? Now in 2017, the skills which we were saying, wow, these are the new skills, today they are of no use. So are you really ready to learn something so quickly and forget about it? So I did my psychology masters last year, which was
Wow.
about 13 years after of my experience. And my mom was like, Kitna padhogi? You were out of college so many years ago. Now, why do you want to do it? And I told her, we have to now keep studying. Like Ravindraji said, I'm here to learn. And he's learning for
Absolutely.
so many years. Yeah, so
One degree can take you for 3 years ahead in your career.
correct.
3 to 4 years
Yeah,
after, you need to change the gears, right?
absolutely.
Again, take a new degree or new skills development,
Yeah,
because certifications do help. At least you will get to know, you can
correct.
test the water, what is happening, and then you have to keep learning.
Yeah.
Sometimes, Gauri, I also think, how long I'm going to learn? Up paisa kamayenge,
uh,
right? But learning gives us new neurons, what I
yeah,
feel.
correct.
Ask
Highest,
me that question at the end.
yes, I
Ask
will.
me that.
Sure. Right. So in the meanwhile, we will be taking more questions from the participants. I'm sharing few links here. I'm sharing ProTouch website, my LinkedIn here, and Gauri's LinkedIn here. I will also share Rahul's LinkedIn, so that you can remain in touch with us, which is very important, because all of us keep sharing lot of knowledge. So Gyan
Yeah,
Bati.
your videos are awesome.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, people, and sometimes I also feel that there are people who get at least one person find every day that video or our update useful. They
Yeah,
send message. One person called me today because he was on the verge of resigning and how to make a decision. I said, oh my god, that is impacting. And I think when we are on LinkedIn, we also need to carry that responsibility, because it is
correct.
impacting people.
Yes.
So that is how. So do stay in touch with us. That is what I will say, right? We have also created one small group called HR Guru, and that is where we give lot of information about the upcoming events what we are arranging. So feel free to join there as well. Okay. So let's move to the next question that Trishant is asking: how should we can balance work from home? So even though we are working from home, we have a work-life balance challenge. And I personally feel, I don't know, I personally do not agree with one thing. Everyone talk this corporate life, I could not take my health. I could not take care of my health. This corporate life, I could not spend time with family. I think corporate life has given us a lot. Let's be
Yeah.
very thankful to corporate life. Having said that, yes, work-life balance is a personal skill which we all need to develop. So if you can throw some light, Gauri, on that.
Yeah, so I will share my personal mantra how I am, bringing in that balance. So I have a daughter who is 12 and my husband, three of us. So small family, so not too much to do, definitely. But with no maid at home, yes, there are challenges. So what I'm doing is early morning, I keep some time for myself because that's critical. I would say there is nothing more important than having that self-love and spending some time with ourselves. So that exercise happens and then I have to finish all my breakfast, lunch, everything by 9 o'clock. I finish everything and I have a ritual. So the way I used to go to work, I used to commute for 1 hour and 30 minutes, and deliberately I would walk for at least 1.5 kilometers both sides, so that my walking is over. Like you said, corporate life, right?
Yes.
So if you don't take those deliberate steps, you would not be getting time to do other things. So even when I was working from office, both sides, 1.5 hour, half kilometers at least, I would be walking. So my exercise is done also. So I follow the same ritual for 5 minutes. I would be walking so that my mind is conditioned. I have to start working now. And once there, I would not go for any distraction. I write a post in morning, and after it is done, half an hour or so, full focus would be on work, so that I know what am I doing. And also, it's very important that you keep a tab, like we discuss about productivity and metrics around it, what you are doing and how much you are bringing to table. That you have to bring up yourself. Gone are the days when manager had only this work to do, that who is doing what, and they were really managing people. Now it's time to coach and to grow and grow yourself also. Like we discussed, no, we have to keep on learning. So manager needs to spend time on his or her learning as well. You have to really do it on your own. So find out what's happening, connect with your team every day so that you know what's going on in terms of coordination. And then I'm also talking to at least few people every day, as my role in HR requires, so that I understand what's happening at the other end. So once there, then definitely I take just half an hour break for eating lunch, and then 5:30 or 6 I close. And again the same ritual, I would walk for some time so that I'm conditioned back, that I'm back to home now. And then I would be spending time reading, walking, talking to my family, and then dinner and all of it. So this is how I'm doing, and I'm blessed. My organization, Saturday Sunday nobody would ask you to work. So that's a blessing that we have from the company, and that's how the work life balance is good. But we have to really work hard to achieve it. You can, in beginning I was totally disorganized. I was not sure what is to be done. So I would do certain things, I will start working, then I have to get up again, coming back and putting in that, like I don't know if any of you read the post on multitasking. Our brains are not made for multitasking. If we try to do so many things together, it will backfire. So I was in the beginning, because every moment HR is required when the crisis started. And same time, every moment you are required at home also. Nobody knows what's happening at home. Nobody has been home, right? Zoom, my daughter didn't know how to log in and all of it. So yeah, once that phase was over, I realized that I need to be really disciplined and work hard to achieve this balance. Otherwise, there are times, earlier were times, that I would be on system till 11 o'clock at night. And then I realized, what am I doing? I mean, I can't be there for full day after 18 hours. So then this whole structure came into place. And I think if you follow some certain things like this, everybody will have their own mantra. This should really help.
Absolutely. Great, Gauri. I always say, as far as my work life balance is concerned, there are four pillars. First is health, then wealth, then, yes, then knowledge and family. So these four
Wonderful.
things I have to do in a day. And most of us think that, if I sleep for some more hours, I will get rest. I think that is one myth.
Yes.
Instead of that, if you just get up 1 hour early, I'm telling you, your life will change completely. So, the early morning works really great. That gives you a lot of peace. because a lot of irritation happens because you don't have time. How do you get time? Because stretching the day is completely in our hand. So sleep on time, get up little early, and you will have a really great peace of mind. You will see that. So that is on work-life balance. Having said that, there is one person is asking question, that is what kind of certifications we can take to, especially in HR and talent acquisition field, if you can suggest few certifications.
Yes, so certification would can be taken or looked at in two ways.
Mm-hmm.
One is you are doing something and you want to upgrade your knowledge. That's one way to look at it. So you have something and then you look at the curriculum of the certification. If it is really helping you to be from here to there, go
Mm-hmm.
for it. And this is the best way to do in my experience. Another way is you have not entered that field. Somebody who is into L&D and wants to come to recruitment side, or somebody who's into L&D and wants to come to HRBP side, there are a lot of certifications, or HR analytics, which is a new area and it's in high demand. So that is another way to look at it, that you want to enter a new field, so you go for certification and you gain some knowledge. But whenever you are doing a certification, please use it. Otherwise, certification will just remain like that, and you will not have any chance to gain anything out of it. So decide whether it is upgrading your current skills or entering a new area. But take projects along with certification, because 3 days, 4 days, or even a week certification would not give you total insight unless you utilize it practically. And especially the HR analytics one, you will have some data. Data is available on internet. Do use it, otherwise you will not remember anything in Power BI. It would be powerless for you.
So very rightly said that, what is going on in the market is little noise. You do 1 hour and you get certificate. You get 2 hours and you get certificate. We are not playing cards.
White hat JR.
Absolutely. Right. So please be careful what you are doing. If we are doing too many certification, then also there is a question mark. Do relevant and do intelligence before going for it. Okay, so for example, we have 90 hours course with 32 case studies in HR analytics. Okay, and I personally, we have seen that how we can make it practical. Having said that, find out whether it is your love or not. Without love, marriage is impossible. Okay, so even though you get a marriage certificate, it is of no use, right? That is for the world, but you're not happy with that. Okay, so keep that in mind. Is it your love? Is it your passion? And then go ahead with it. Invest very thoughtful way, time wise. See who are the trainers, what kind of accreditation, and at the end of the day, I personally feel, Gauri, correct me if I'm wrong, certification works like a visa. Visa will give you entry to go in the other country, and that is the other area, right? So that is required. Without visa, entering will be tough. But once you go there, how is your life? That we have to take care. So we do a lot of career coaching on one-on-one, spend a lot of time with our students. Believe me, Gauri, yesterday morning we were discussing, yes, we do also have a placement support, but our students hardly need it. They get job on their own. And everyone has got a different kind of a priority. For example, one lady was on break for 4 years and wanted to get back. So getting back was her priority. So she updated herself and she got back. There was one person wanted to shift, so she was working with McDonald's, and she was into customer care. Now she's getting into HR generalist field. Okay, but her role is also hybrid. You may not get directly the generalist role. You may get recruitment and plus some customer care. You never know, because please understand, I always give this example to everyone that you want to hire a driver who has a license but doesn't know how to drive. Will you hire him? Will you hire him? Madam, मैं सीख लूंगा, मुझे job दे दो. अरे, at what cost? How we will do it? It is not possible, right? So it is very important. Partially, what are you doing? Internship, writing blogs, reading blogs, working on your digital credibility. All these things matter. So visa, take it from the certification. Along with that, there are a lot of things we need to do. and sometimes we become too much job oriented. ये किया तो मुझे क्या मिलेगा, ये किया तो मुझे क्या मिलेगा, नहीं मिलता भाई. You know, there are certain things, it's a journey and you need to explore. हर बार नहीं होता. That is what is my take on that,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. So I loved it when you said it's 90 hours and there are case studies. This is how you really learn. Otherwise, you go to classroom now, it's digital. You are sitting before the camera. I mean, most of the times we are camera shy people, so camera is also off. And what's happening, nobody knows you have a certification in your hand.
Gauri, we have a mandate in our session. You have to keep your camera on.
Super.
Because as you know, it's a psychology. If someone is watching us, our behavior is in control.
Correct.
और फिर नहीं तो मैं गाना भी गाती हूँ. झलक दिखला जा, एक बार आजा 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 आ. So we make sure the camera is on. We do a lot of progress work. So these things makes a lot of difference. There is one question which is coming quite frequently. What is the difference between performance management and appraisal and talent management? So I think one person has asked this twice. If you can address it quickly, that will be really nice.
Yeah. So I would like to start with performance management, because if done well, that's what leads to talent management. When it comes to performance management, we generally think it's all about performance appraisal. वो 4-5 KRAs हो गए and you are through with it. That's only performance evaluation. It's a small part of performance management. Talent management, performance management, talent management is the whole spectrum, which involves the whole life cycle, right from having people with the right skill set and development and what career progression you are giving, succession planning, all of it would be part of it. And performance management is about a particular employee, how they are being ready for future, how they are contributing today, how they are being rewarded currently. That is, and evaluation is definitely a very small part of it. But generally, we start with performance appraisal and salary kitna badha and bonus kitna mila it becomes very important. So these are different spectrum and these are different things. And talent management is the wider term, which encompasses all these things together.
Absolutely. I think you will get to know a lot of details because these are different two functions. Ganesh has asked wonderful questions, and thank you, Ganesh, for your kind words and for commenting that is excellent session. We know about HR analytics in new things and HR metrics, but the decisions taken on the basis of them will actually impact the business function. Can you please tell us important HR metrics and the decision that must be looked at? So that is what is HR metrics. If you can just, few HR metrics, yes.
So most common and easily understood ones are kind of turnover. How many people are leaving within 1 to 5 years. So it's like machine can throw a lot of data, a lot of answers. What we have to do is ask the right question. If you are asking the right question to machine, you will really get some insights. Otherwise, information is information. It's a raw information. You don't get any inferences. So one is, if you are still finding what is your turnover rate, do find whether it's a regret or not regret. Now, who is going to decide whether it's a regret or not is line manager, because they know whether this particular employee or team member was really making any difference or not. How many of them are really leaving within 6 months? Then there is a problem with onboarding. How many of them are really leaving after 3 to 5 years? Then maybe there's a problem with career progression. If they are the same manager from whom the more people are leaving, then there is a problem with leadership issues. So this is one metrics which is used generally. Second is another indicator which shows whether you are giving a right environment or not is net promoter score. So how many of your people would really go and refer the organization to someone is positive promoter score. And if they say negative about the company or they don't refer, that becomes negative promoter score. So when you subtract this from that, you get
one sec. I need to mute everyone.
Yeah.
Now, Gauri, you can unmute yourself. Yes. Thank you.
Yes, so we were on net promoter score. So how many would be actually advocating the organization and how many would be saying that I don't like it? Employee engagement survey, we take some metrics from there and we try to find out how many people are happy coming to work. That's another thing. And that has gone to a new level now when it comes to pulse surveys. Every moment, every day you ask people whether you liked it or not. Just like a mall, you enter a mall, when you come out, you are asked, did you like it? How was the experience? 1 to 5. So you are doing it with your people also. From there you analyze which department things are not going well. If there are a lot many negative things on a particular day, check out with manager what's happening. So that's another thing. Absenteeism is a good indicator of the kind of employee experience you are providing. Sick leave, if so many people are getting sick frequently, there's some sickness in the system. So that's another indicator. These are some on the employee side. Then per employee higher cost, or when you divide the overall your return on equity or return on investment with per employee cost, what is your return on that? That's another thing. So as HR, we don't have to only look into what employee related things are. We need to really understand from where the money is coming, how we are utilizing it, what is operating ratio, because operating ratio becomes an important. HR cost is definitely a high cost for any organization. That is important. Return on equity is important. So all those parameters which are seen whether a company is healthy, not healthy, is all the analytics which is required.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. Another wonderful question Abhijit has asked. Emotional intelligence is one of the main attributes in HR management. What do you think about it?
Yeah, so I think not only HR management, but as a human being, emotional intelligence is critical. And today it's one of the top 5 skills that people look into. And gone are the days jab boss kuch bhi bol deta tha and boss was all about being a power center. Now it's seen as a leader whether you are using people as a means or they are end of the journey. It is very important that you treat your people with empathy. Empathy is another important skill that we are looking at. And why go far? Look at ourselves, whether we are knowing ourselves first. The 4 dimensions of self-awareness and managing others and understanding others and overall emotional intelligence. So that is a critical skill today because things have changed. There is social media that has created a very high pressure on organizations and leaders to behave well. Culture has become an important aspect today. So if you talk to any investor, they now don't look at only the strategy and execution. They also look at cultures, and there have been statements from very very senior in PEs who said that we made a mistake by not looking at culture. So from where this culture is coming, that emotional intelligence is an important element here. So for me, it's all about us and then taking it to next level. If I know what are my triggers, then I would be dealing with others in a better way. And now, like I said, it's not about manager, it's about a coach today. So if there is no emotional intelligence, you would not be able to coach people. You will only tell them this is what I want, you get it done, and that would be end of the relationship. So yes, emotional intelligence definitely top 5 skills.
Yeah, absolutely. If we look at our history, especially in India, earlier we used to see that employer had an upper hand. We had very, initially unskilled workers. They also had limited opportunities in their hand. Hence, the person who has the upper hand used to say, "Ye kahan jayenge?" So the usage of language, manipulation used to take place. Now things have changed from both the sides. Supply of skilled worker is very high, and as well as employees also have huge opportunities outside. So they are not depending on one factory, one manager, and one village. No. So hence, emotional intelligence is most of the time expected only from the bosses. Please don't think that way. Employee emotional intelligence is from both the sides. If you have choice, even they have choice. It is better that, how do we work together? What is the intention of talking? That we have to figure out and go ahead. And the more, we always say, the more we have delicate people, we have a glass accessories in the house, where do we keep it? We keep it in the showcase. We don't use it. And we need really strong people when we want them on the floor, right? So work, too much delicate emotions will be tough. Okay, so ultimately, because we always say that, Gauri, that we are in a generation of one school, private school, one child, one college, private college, and now they're going to come to company. And what do they learn? They learn about Google, Amazon, Flipkart, or maybe Yahoo, and they see, wow, the life is all about Friday fun days and employee engagement activities. But one thing we cannot forget, there is a performance, right? And that is the struggle. Okay, so once you come to corporate world,
I will just add that we do it, and that's where we go to certifications to learn emotional intelligence, because you
yes,
don't learn it in digital world. When you are surrounded by digital things, then it's gone.
yes. And in service industry, especially, it's all about people and relationship
Correct.
management. So if you think, मुझे नहीं फर्क पड़ता what people are talking about me. Please understand, other people only give you job, other people only give you promotions. So how do they perceive you matters. So ये जो social media पे post आता ना, don't think about others. Think twice. Okay, everything has a context, and that context we all should not forget. That is what I would like to say. I think this is the last question we take from Karan. How do you set candidate salary expectation realistic?
How do we
keep or set candidate salary expectations realistic?
Okay. Yeah, so from candidate side, now it is much easier. Even LinkedIn has a feature wherein you can find out what is the salary for a particular role. However, every industry, every organization, every stage, the salary parameters would be different. So what you can best do as a candidate, this is as a candidate, right, Dr. Aparna?
Yes.
So as a candidate, now you are on social media, you have your friends, so you can try to find out what's going on in market. But Indian system still works on, it's unfortunate, but it still works on what was your last salary and how much growth can we give you.
Absolutely.
And it will not go beyond 20-25%. So that's mostly realistic. If you try to do it, at times it is perceived that you are joining only for salary. And one thing is very clear, unless you really want to do it, then it's a different thing. Then you should not get into manipulation, and you should be very positive in interview and towards the end of it, because then you are wasting everybody's time. But otherwise, it's a delicate issue. When it comes to salary and comp, you have to wait till a certain time, unless, like I said, that is the only agenda. But then if that is the only agenda, you are killing your career. Because if you are behind money, then you will not gain any success. Money will follow if you follow your heart, if you follow your passion and you work hard. Like Dr. Aparna said, no substitute for performance, no substitute for learning. वो तो करना ही है. So when it comes to salary, keep it for the final discussion once you are selected. Try to find out, dig data from everywhere, from market, from LinkedIn, wherever you can. But be realistic that in 90%, 95%, unless you are coming up with a skill which is in short supply in market, you would not be paid more than 25-30. इससे ज़्यादा expectations रखना ठीक नहीं है. And in today's scenario, it can be even lesser, because as we know, 12 crore jobs were lost, and there are not many people in organizations. But at the same time, do not value yourself lower also. And do not go into those tactics that 6 महीने के बाद बढ़ा देंगे, after probation बढ़ा देंगे. वो सब नहीं होता है unless you have it in writing from people. And professional organizations would not do those things, because for professional organizations, it's not somebody who is a lala, and I mean the way we say lala companies, that there's only one boss and he will decide what's going to happen. It's a small setup, it might happen, But when it comes to professionalism, go for whatever is in market and keep it towards end of it. Otherwise, the whole motive would look like money. And for me, I don't want to hire somebody who will jump ship again in 1 year's time because they will be paying him again 30%. So take this particular point towards the end and be very tactical about it. You have to be very careful what you are, how you are putting it. But don't say that मुझे loan है तो मुझे salary बढ़ा के दे दो. That is not going to
Absolutely, yeah,
work.
that happens. That happens.
That happens. I've seen it so many times, even with bankers.
हाँ.
मेरे छोटे-छोटे बच्चे.
What you are bringing to table is important. Call out for the values. How would you relate your skills to the JD that has been given to you? Most of the times JD पढ़ा ही नहीं होता है. And then you come to salary expectations and all. How are you going to sell yourself? It's a time when you have to sell yourself and you have to tell, I have done this and that is why I can support you this way. I'm very happy because when I'm hiring, I don't want to spend time, waste time training you. I want you to hit the road running. So show me that you are there and I will be happy paying you.
Absolutely. That is so very true. Salary can motivate you only for one day on that 7th or 1st when you get that SMS. After that, culture, learning, growth, everything matters. So if you are thinking to shift your career or a job only and only for salary, then you need to rethink about it. That will be sincere advice to all of you. Okay. So that is one thing. I think Abhijit, feedback, we are open to take the feedback. There is no feedback form as such. We have taken a lot of questions. I think we have considered. There is a question about OD. I think Ganesh, you can get in touch with Gauri, and Gauri is an OD expert.
Hello.
Personally,
Am I audible?
Yeah.
This is Sangram Pradhan here. Am I audible? Sangram Pradhan?
Yes, Sangram. Yes, Sangram.
There is a simple question. When we speak about the HR practices and why people don't accept HR practices, I am actually coming from both the practices. I have worked in business and then moved into HR for last 10 years now. For last 20 years, I've seen why people don't believe in HR practices. So I've heard of all the discussions which this has been put forward, saying, you should be doing this or doing that. Can you please put some perspective from an employee, the receiver's end, what he thinks, what he or she thinks when we say from HR, these are the things which you practically supposed to be putting forward, and we have no other answers to it. I have seen many times in HR people. I can tell you both because when I've been outside HR, it has been very difficult to reach an HR person to get my queries clarified. And when I came into HR after 10 years, now 20 years I'm in HR. Now when I see things are different because we sometimes we don't understand what employee wants.
Absolutely.
We do what we think that is right for employee. Employee doesn't think that is right. Employee thinks what is right for them, what they are expecting from us. So sometimes I think HR thinks that whatever I think like a parental culture, they think that it was what I have thought about this employees. That's right. This is the way we should go ahead in life, But employee doesn't think in that approach. My only suggestion would be to this group that employees are human beings. Every step we take, we have to be very considerate that employee thinks differently. We generally feel that doing an engagement initiative or all that stuff, we engage people. Tell me, how many of us will agree doing one engagement initiative in a month, engages the employee to be with the organization? If everybody agrees, then I withdraw my statement.
Sangram,
We do and want.
yeah, so I think we have understood gist of it, and if you allow me to respond.
Absolutely, ma'am. You
Yeah.
can please
Yeah.
respond.
Yes, so Sangram, first of all, doing employee engagement activity is not at all employee engagement. It's a myth that we call it employee engagement because we are engaging with people just like we are engaging everybody. This is an engagement, and same ways when we organize a particular event, it's engagement. But that's not at all employee engagement. Employee engagement is what you said, what they are looking at. Why would I be engaged with the organization? Because I get respect there, I am valued as an employee, I am getting career progression, and I am having that reward. That communication, that transparency brings in engagement. These activities do not bring engagement. I mean, it's a myth. It's called as, and that's why people think like that. And second, I would also not agree with you that people think HR is not supporting them. I will cite my own example. So my last organization, when I left, the day I left, I got standing ovation from 300 plus colleagues. And it really showed that there is value in HR. It's not about me, it's about what happened there. So, and what did I do? The most important aspect was listening. So they had it was a situation of merger and acquisition, and as you would understand, those times employee morale is at lowest. What they need is listening. There should be someone who listens to them and who tries to resolve their challenges. It's not that I could resolve 100%. It's not possible because I don't run the company. HR doesn't run the company. For example, one thing which always came out in all discussions was we used to deduct salary at 9:31. Third time, 9:31, your half day salary is deducted. I could never resolve this because management has had a view. And they said if you give 15 minutes grace period, the request would be for 20, for 30. How long are you going to stretch it? Bring it that discipline. So that never happened. But what happened was not activities, not employee engagement activities, but listening to them. If they are, IJP was not there. So if they are not happy in a particular job role, would they be able to move to other role? Diversity was very low. So when I left, it was at 36%, which is a good number when it comes to Indian organization. When it comes to communicating with them, there were at least 6 forums. I brought in MD also to table to talk, and it used to be called as coffee with MD. When you are able to show, many a times in even our regular life, it happens that we need a listening ear. We just want to vent out. Even that helps employees. Then comp and benefit definitely plays an important role. These people were doing a lot of things, but KRA driven performance appraisal was not there. So bad guys sub log, and then they are tick tick tick, isko itne percent dena, isko itne percent dena. That doesn't work. And similarly, reward structure is important. If you are doing something special for the company, are you getting something in reward? It's not about money that you do. I used to invite families to office, and that used to be the biggest reward for people. They would say that picture, that plaque that used to be offered to them in presence of their family. किसी के father mother आते थे, किसी की wife आती थी, and they किसी के husband आते थे, and it would be, they used to say it is better than that 20,000 which you give for employee of the year or CEO of the year. So there are a lot many monetary, non-monetary things through which you engage, but you don't engage with events. I hope it helps some, I mean, to certain extent, Sangram.
Can I suggest you something? Whatever you suggested, if I'm in nature for last 10 years, I can
Yeah, these
understand
are
this.
not suggestions. These are my experiences.
And I think Gauri, somewhere,
These
a very important part is we have very diverse employees.
Yeah.
Every
So,
employee
Correct.
value something
may
else. Sangram, just give me a minute for this, okay? So, everyone values something else. Bringing everyone to the same satisfaction level will be always tough job. What we feel like, for example, if you look at it, earlier we used to have healthcare, earlier we used to have a lot of things, this is what we are giving and this is what you need to take. But now we have come up with cafeteria plans as far as their health insurance, education, anything is concerned. We have come up with different leaves. Like, for example, earlier we never used to have paternity leaves we have now. And now companies are not only giving leaves at a stretch, they say we may not need at that time, but we may need little later. We need to use those leaves in a different way. So that there is a flexibility. Work flexibility has come into the picture. Having said that, there will be always limit. And
Yes.
in my experience, when good things happens, when celebration happens, line manager becomes the front face. But when there is a firing, when there is a tough call, when there is a tough discussion, HR becomes the face. And that is where we all need to work. So everything is not in hands of HR. As we know, if you have 3 kids, 4 kids, or 2 kids, you cannot make everyone happy with one gift, right? One loves something else, other loves something else. And that is what is the challenge of HR, right? So I hope, Sangram, that you get the picture. As you are
I
also,
still, I'm sorry, in interest of time, I'll not debate here now. Maybe I'll debate later on in
sure.
some other forum. My only point is that HR need to do many things better because I am coming from a business background and I was in a, I'm coming from a risk management background to HR for last 10 years. So I think HR needs to do much more than what we think that we have done. When we say that we have done, we have ensured that people are being trained, we have ensured that people are being guided. Actually, on field, do you ensure that? That's sort of, anyways, this is something I think a limited time of discussion. I don't want to get into that. My only point is that HR need to do many more things than just a tick a box kind of an activity where we say we have done this, we have done that, we have actually coached these people, we have mentored this guy, we have actually done this. We have to do many things. It's about human being. Please understand. We are talking about people. HR is very sensitive, and I came to understand that about 10 years back when I came to HR. I could understand HR is very sensitive. Before that, I had a very insensitive view about HR. But after that, I have a very sensitive view of HR because it is very people centric. It is. It cannot be done, in a one way, or you can say this is not what I am going to perform, or this is the way I'm going to act for a lifelong. I think it has to be very people centric and it has to be person specific.
I think,
So
Sangram,
my thought is
your
that
point is very, very valid. Okay, people centric. Yes, HR is also going through a lot of transition. And looking at the time, I'm really sorry to interrupt. Get in
so
touch with us,
I leave
and
it to you. As
certainly
I said,
get in
Hi,
touch.
Miss Aparna. Hi,
Yes,
this is Ganesh.
yes, Ganesh.
Okay, very short thing. I would just like to tell, first of all, Ms. Gauri Das has said a wonderful thing about the employee engagement. Being into HR for almost 12 years, this engagement activity is called Rangoli making and all this. People don't appreciate, I understand. But whatever she said, everything means a lot. Mr. Sangram, I just would like to tell you one thing, wherein your problem is solved. Okay. So when you talk about employee engagement, the first thing is about engagement of an employee with this team and especially with the team manager, because people don't leave organization, they leave their bosses. So in this first thing, as an HR manager, we can do it this, we can appreciate, we can make them enjoy having team out with the team managers. There was a concept which we introduced, I introduced, called managers wallet. We used to give a certain amount to our managers. We appreciate them to take them from chai samosa till a lunch, including having a round of beer also, no matter for that, wherein they are not talking only about the productivity and the things, but the problems they are facing at home, about the kids, anything extra, wherein they feel, oh my God, my manager is listening to me. So the first thing, if you have less about 5 different teams or 10 different teams, the first thing you're gonna ensure this, that you have a engaged team, and the engaged team member with the engagement with the managers. Your job is half done, because you cannot engage 1,000 people with these activities. Yes, compensation benefit are there. People these days take onboarding so seriously, like they even call the person, what we call the candidates warm, we call the new hire to be warm, because in the notice period they tend to join somewhere else. Why? Because you do not call them, you do not give Diwali greetings or whatever that thing. But till a person join when he's serving the notice period, then you give them excellent onboarding thing, which is not only a thing, but it is a training itself, that he should be feel, oh my God, this my organization is so big. They have a big mission, vision, values. The management is so big, the culture, everything. You gave them a round of applause thing, that oh my, he has joined a good organization. Then series of active flow from training and development is last thing. But if you can do only 2-3 things, like a family day kind of thing, apart from this thing, like the manager's wallet, what I told you, and there are few small things, they will engage at least to their bosses, and the bosses will drive the things further. That is what we call leadership thing. And then when you have career progression, you can give them the choice to pursue their interest, which is the matching the interest with the organization goal, so that they can pursue any kind of certification course, which is again we are talking about a reskilling, upskilling thing these days. So these things will come into the same thing, where every employee you will find engaged. That is I want to conclude.
Thank you so much, Ganesh. Thanks a lot. I mean, we really having a great debate. I think through debate only we learn, and through this debate only we grow, right? Yes. Thank you so much for Sangram for bringing in a very different perspective. Thanks a lot. And I think on that note, I would like to invite Ravindra. Ravindra, few concluding thoughts of yours. I mean, this webinar will be incomplete without your insights. Yes.
Mute.
Thanks, Dr. Aparna. Am I audible to everybody?
Yes, you are. You are.
The problem is when I am audible. I think Gauri would know that. All right. What I'll do is it was a great pleasure listening to Gauri and Aparna for about an hour or a little more than that, and some very valuable insights from some people in the audience. And I made certain mental notes, which I thought I'll share with some of those with you, so that maybe you will get a slightly different perspective of what we looked at. First, I'll take some lighter points, and then I may come to some serious ones. On this work from home thing, it's not only the chai ka adda and the the cooler discussion. Most of the very, very important feedback to the management, as well as the interaction between employees, takes place in the toilets. In fact, when I was hiring many years back, and we would, besides sending the guy through an interview in the chamber, we would also plant somebody in the toilet and find out if the candidate could talk to somebody, what does he feel about the organization. So that's one thing which people are missing. And the same thing is true. I did a little bit of study in my own within the organizations that I work with, and I asked some of the young girls, would you prefer to work from home, or would you rather work from office? The answer would have normally been that I would like to work from home, because we all believe that women would like to work from home.
No, that's a myth.
Not at all.
Myth.
I will surprise you. I know, Gauri, and you have smashed that myth, but I'll smash even the myth that you have. Give me time for that.
Sure.
Quite a few girls said, I can't smoke at home.
Oh.
You really broke that myth.
That is, and the second thing which you have to, coming back to this work from home stuff, which we all love it, we enjoy it, or we feel that this is the new normal. I call it the new abnormal. And the new normal will be known only when we are normal. We are not yet normal. It will take us some more time. But look at a larger perspective of HR, and then of work from home. How much of work is really done which requires physical work? We must know that but I wouldn't look at just the corporate bit. I would look at workforce as an entity. Now, if you look at India and look at the workforce as an entity, and if I go by the statistics published by the government, 60% of our workforce works in the agriculture sector. The bigger problem is that another study says that the 40% works in the small and medium sector. Now, then my question is, who is really working in the corporate sector? And all of us here, from what I heard, are neither working in agriculture nor working in that tiny small sector. So there is a significant amount of people in our workforce which is working in areas where there is no organized setups, where there is perhaps no HR. So how do we as a country manage the HR of that sector? Now, that is a question which I believe particularly the aspiring HRs and the growing up HRs here in the room must look at. Because going forward, a lot of emphasis is going to be on these two sectors. Keep that in mind. Agriculture is going to get a lot of emphasis, and small medium sector is going to get a lot of emphasis. And the problem is both these sectors do not as of today employ any HR. And because they do not employ any HR, they actually require a lot of HR. Now, they will not hire an HR manager, but they need an HR manager. Challenge to you guys. Maybe we'll talk about it, talk more of it later. Then there was discussion on what will be the role of HR in future and what will be the role of the bosses. Honestly, guys, I believe that you have to, as HRs and also as leaders, you should be more worried about will the boss be required in a while? And similarly, will the HR be required in a while? I'm not underestimating the need for HR, but the rate at which I notice the number of HR people, having that, I wrote yesterday, the half green circle, open to work. If I count the number of open to works, I find the largest single segment is in the HR. So look at that aspect, that you have a huge amount of unemployed but highly employable thing in the market. So keep a track of that. You will have to address that as an HR leadership team. You will have to address that. Second thing was about gaining more skills or attaining additional knowledge and so on and so forth. Look, I'll tell you something very very practical and very. It might not sound very good, but it's true. There was a saying, and we used to say it in one of the organizations which I was working for, that if you are sitting on the same chair for a long period of time, that means you have not moved and you have not gained any additional knowledge or you have not gained any additional skills, COVID or no COVID, even without a COVID situation, if you are sitting on the same chair, in some time, you will be seen as a part of the furniture.
True.
The furniture also doesn't move. No? So make sure that you don't become a part of the furniture. Now, whether that's by learning, moving upwards, downwards, sideways, whichever way, but keep that in mind. If you're going to be steady for long without, upgrading yourself, you're going to be a part of the furniture. The next point I heard was about work-life balance. Yes, I worked for 36 years and you might think that this guy is bragging, but I'm not. Look, work-life balance is not something which you can deliberately do. If you are not balanced in life, you will screw both work as well as life. So I have never had a problem of shortage of time. Because if I'm serious about my work, it will take me only those many hours. And if I'm serious about my personal life, it will take me only those many hours. But if I look at the personal life bit, it's not about the amount of time I give to my family. It is more about the quality of time I give to my family. And let me tell you, and I'm sorry saying this, most of us, particularly men in the Indian context, neither give quantity nor give quality time to our family. I dare not talk about women because they are in majority, at least here. So make sure that it's not, there There's nothing. You don't have to make a deliberate attempt of attaining. मैं आज 4 घंटे काम करूँगा, 5 घंटे घर जाऊँगा. No, you have to be serious about both. You will automatically find time. Aparna gave you a wonderful example of make a habit of getting an hour earlier. But look at what your time wasters are. I don't intend to conduct a course on time management here. Then there was a very wonderful statement which Aparna made was that, people have this मुझे फर्क नहीं पड़ता. Boss, तुझे फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, कोई बात नहीं है. But एक चीज याद रखो, तुझे फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, किसी को फर्क नहीं पड़ता. If you are with that मुझे फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, then keep in mind कि सामने वाले को भी फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. फिर आप जाके हिमालय में बैठो. ना तुमको फर्क पड़ेगा ना किसी और को फर्क पड़ेगा. अगर तुमको सोसाइटी में रहना है, अगर तुमको एक जॉब में रहना है, अगर तुमको एक इकोसिस्टम का पार्ट बनना है, तो बेटा तुमको फर्क पड़नी चाहिए. Same thing with your bosses, same thing with all of you. Another challenge, which of course didn't come up here, but I am greatly concerned about this, looking at the past maybe couple of months. There's a lot of employee bullying happening. I started a post saying that if you've been thrown out of the job without adequate notice or without adequate reason, please write to me offline and I'll be happy to help you free of cost. What was my difficulty? I could not help them. You know why? There were 2 reasons. Number one, the inbox got filled with, I can't count the number of people. So I really could not cope up with the quantity. But the few that I could cope up with, and I dug a bit deeper into it. And I have a very strong opinion about this employee bullying should not take place. किसी को terminate कर दिया, किसी को demote कर दिया, किसी को कुछ कर दिया. It might be difficult in very large templated organizations, but it's a very, very common practice in the medium and small and medium and semi-large organizations. The problem is that one is that the employer is wrong. And if any one of you are ever facing it or somebody is facing it, please feel free to contact me and I'll tell you how to do about it. And legal is not the answer. The answer is something else, which I'll be able to share on a one-to-one basis. But another problem is, and that's what we have to fight for as the HR leadership, is that the employee does not want to speak. Because he is worried कि अगर मैंने speak किया, भले ही मेरे को वो compensation के पैसे मिलेंगे, लेकिन मेरे को कल कोई hire नहीं करेगा. And damn it, he's right. That's what happens. Now, if this is, and mind you, I'm not kidding, I'm not exaggerating. This is a major, major issue. And those of you who have been following a little bit of Whitehead JR would read a lot of it on the internet. There is one particular manager from Whitehead JR who is in touch with me for last 1.5 months, and I was trying to help him out and help him get his dues. But ultimately he said, "Sir, I don't want to do it." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because my wife says that we have no time to become another Pradeep Punia." You can Google for these words. I don't intend to invite trouble for myself and get a lawsuit filed against me for talking about